All right, today we are taking a trip back in time, way back, to the Islamic world between 1200 and 1450. Now, this was an absolutely incredible era of change and, well, brilliant innovation. We're talking about a civilization that wasn't just defined by land or borders, but by something much bigger, the power of its ideas. So, let's dive into this amazing story.
So let me kick things off with a question for you. Picture it. The year is 1250. Where on this planet would you find the most advanced civilization? I mean, where's the real action? The most exciting intellectual life, the cutting-edge science, the biggest, baddest libraries? Are you thinking Europe? Maybe China? Well, the answer, it's probably not what you're expecting.
The answer? It's Baghdad. Yep, Baghdad, the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate. We're talking about a massive Islamic empire that stretched all the way from North Africa to Persia. And for centuries, centuries, this city was, without a doubt, the center of the world. And right at its core, its beating heart, was this almost mythical place, the House of Wisdom.
And that really gets us to the heart of this story. You see, this isn't just a tale about armies and conquests. The true legacy of Dar al Islam during this time, it's how a civilization built an empire, not of land, but of ideas. It became this incredible global hub for learning, pulling in the brightest minds and the greatest knowledge from all over the known world.
So, okay, what exactly was this House of Wisdom? Well, imagine the best university, the biggest library, and a world-class translation center all smashed together into one incredible institution. It was a place that really took the Prophet Muhammad's encouragement to seek knowledge and ran with it, taking it to a level the world had never seen before.
And here's what's so incredible about it. It wasn't about them inventing every single thing from scratch. No, their genius was in synthesis. Think about it. Scholars in Baghdad translated the great Greek classics. We're talking Aristotle, Plato, saving them from being lost to history forever. They grabbed paper-making technology from China, which completely changed the game for sharing knowledge, and they adopted numerals from India, yep, the very same numbers we all use today, and then used them to build whole new fields of math, like algebra.
And you know, this wasn't just some abstract thing. We can see the real people behind these breakthroughs. Take a guy like Nasir al-Din al-Tusi. This scholar built one of the most advanced astronomical observatories of his time. But get this, he's the guy who literally created trigonometry as its own field of math. His work laid the foundation for centuries of science to come. Just wow.
But you know how stories go. While the world of ideas was hitting this incredible high point, the political world, well, it was starting to crack. The giant Abbasid Empire, this powerhouse, was starting to feel pressure from all sides, both from outside its borders and from within.
Yeah, the pressure was coming from a few different directions. First, you've got the Seljuk Turks. They were nomadic warriors from Central Asia who converted to Islam, and then, well, they just took over the political and military power. Then, from the other direction, European crusaders show up, creating all this conflict over holy sites like Jerusalem. And if that wasn't enough, down in Egypt, the Mamluks, who were this elite class of soldiers who had actually been enslaved, they staged a coup and just took over the government, creating their own kingdom or sultanate.
So what did all this mean? It created this really fundamental split in power. You still had the Abbasid Caliph, who was the religious head of Islam, a hugely important spiritual figure. But the real power, the armies, the taxes, the day-to-day running of things, that now belonged to someone else, the Sultan. You can see how the old empire's unity was really starting to fray.
But listen, all of those problems, the Turks, the Crusaders, the Mamluks, they were about to look like small potatoes. Because coming from the east, there was a storm gathering, a force that was going to change the world forever.
1258. Just remember that year. It is one of the great turning points in all of world history.
In that year, the Mongols rode into Baghdad. They sacked the city. They destroyed the House of Wisdom. And just like that, the 500-year rule of the Abbasid Caliphate was over. The political and intellectual heart of the Islamic world was just gone.
But wait, the story doesn't actually end there. In what has to be one of the most stunning turnarounds in history, the Mamluk Sultanate down in Egypt did something nobody else had been able to do. They met the Mongols in battle, and they won. They stopped the Mongol advance cold.
And this really kicks off a whole new era. Okay, so the Central Empire, the Caliphate, was gone. But the civilization, the culture, the ideas, oh, that was far from dead. In fact, it just transformed, and it kept on thriving in new and interesting ways.
So,
what did this new Islamic world actually look like? Well, it was kind of like a patchwork of powerful new states. You had the Mamluks holding things down in Egypt, the Seljuk Turks were still a major force in the Middle East, and you had new powers rising, like the Delhi Sultanate over in India. And here's the key thing to remember. The new bosses, the rulers of these states, they were mostly Turkic peoples from Central Asia, not Arabs.
But this is the really fascinating part. Even though the Islamic world was now broken up politically, this powerful cultural unity held strong. Things like a shared legal system, the Sharia or Islamic law, plus booming trade routes and a constant exchange of ideas, it all meant that this empire of ideas we talked about, it kept going, even without a single emperor in charge.
Okay, so to really understand the lasting legacy of this whole period, we have to shift our gaze. We need to look west, to a place that had its own light shining brightly the whole time, Islamic Spain, also known as Al-Andalus.
See, while Baghdad was the star of the East, a different group of rulers, the Umayyads, had set up their own capital in a city called Cordoba. And just like Baghdad, it became this absolutely breathtaking center for learning. I mean, it had what was, at that point, the largest library in the entire world.
And the special sauce in Al-Andalus, what made it so unique, was this incredible atmosphere of relative toleration. You had Muslims, Christians, and Jews all living together, working together, arguing and debating with each other. They were sharing ideas, studying each other's work, and this incredible fusion of perspectives led to an absolute explosion of progress in science and philosophy.
So if you zoom out and look at the big picture, this is the great legacy. You have all this knowledge flowing from the East, from China and India. It pours into the Islamic world where it gets translated, studied, and massively expanded upon in places like Baghdad and Cordoba. And then, through Al-Andalus in Spain, that enormous body of knowledge, we're talking math, astronomy, medicine, philosophy, the whole shebang, it gets passed into Europe. And that transfer of knowledge becomes one of the critical sparks that helps ignite the European Renaissance.
Which brings us to a final thought, right? The fall of Baghdad in 1258. That was definitely the end of an era, no question. But when you see how the knowledge from that golden age became the fuel for the next great intellectual awakening in world history, it really makes you wonder, does the light of a golden age ever really go out, or does it just pass the torch and spark the next one?